Don in London. Hello, it's August the 1st. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour. My substance, alcohol, and my behaviour, quite addictive too, to be with the right people, in the right place, with the right things, doing the right things. And always striving to be the best I could, and striving to fit in, and striving to hopefully engage so people would like me and even love me, and I think some did, which is very fortunate for me, but maybe unfortunate for them, because with the malady of the isms, addiction, feeling less than, and trying to fix the way I felt, alcohol was the best substance I could get my hands on. So with a drink in hand, convivial, merry, happy. So I joined in, and I joined in with people who were like me, who drank a lot. And especially in my younger days, I found that any industry was pretty much heavy drinking after work, taking the edge off, and then socialising in whichever way we did. So how is it that some don't become addicts and some do? I have no idea, other than if we drink to excess for a long time, we damage ourselves. We continue to try fix the way we feel about life, and drink becomes a habit, and from that habit some of us develop an addiction, which means we can't stop. And it's not something you can understand unless you're going through it, how to stop drinking when all you want to do, or have to do, to keep alive, it seems, is drink more and more and more, and then top up and hopefully just get on with life and be functioning. And beyond, into the darkness, if you like, where we drink 24/7, isolate, can't get out, can't do anything that is considered normal without another drink, and another one, and another one. So these days I don't drink one day at a time, and I don't obsess about being with the right people in the right place, doing the right things and having the right things. I live life as it is, reality without trying to fix the way I feel. I feel life these days, and then I can respond with thinking, not driven by the next drink. So how did I do this? Well, if I could say I did it on my own, I don't know what I'd be. I certainly couldn't do it on my own, and I had a moment of clarity where the darkness had come in, and I had a morning where I woke up and thought, I've woken up again. It can't get any worse. What can I do? I can't do this on my own. So I asked for help, and eventually, because of family support, medical support, professional support, I eventually got to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, a fellowship which is dedicated to people, helping people with a desire to stop drinking. And AA was the very last place I wanted to be. It was about giving up my best friend, the substance which had kept me going all those years, not realising it kept me doing the things which I didn't really want to do, trying to fit in. We fit in where we will, with people who like us eventually, and we get on with people without having to cover up our feelings. We get to know who we are, sober. And that was a bit of a shock, that I wasn't such a bad person after all, that I could live sober and contribute and be a part of life and be useful in whatever capacity I can or another person can. I don't speak for AA, never can, never will, never want to. It's full of unique, authentic people, individuals with a desire to be sober. So each person has their message to share, and some of us choose to share it on the internet, and some of us choose to share it simply in meetings of AA. And what I do know is, face to face, listening to people who are keeping sober and sharing how they do it is probably the best way forwards. But sometimes meetings are not there, meetings are unavailable, or we just can't get out. Hence this video, as I was asked to do. So what is AA? I share here the AA preamble. If I didn't share about AA, what point would there be to these videos? I'd have to pretend I did it on my own. and I can't. So the AA videos, these are about AA, but I don't represent it, as I say. I can't represent you and your thoughts and feelings if you're in the fellowship, nor can I represent anybody else's feelings either. So on this little card here, AA, the AA preamble, I'll share that in a moment, followed by something from the Daily Reflections book here and some of my thoughts. And the Daily Reflections book is 365 pages, all about the 12 steps and 12 traditions of AA. So August is all about step 8 and tradition 8. So step 8, just so you know before we get going, is made a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. In other words, make restitution as we can to those we have harmed. It's making the list. This is what step 8 is about. It's not actually doing the amends or restitution. We have to work on that next. And the tradition, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centres may employ special workers. So AA is non-professional. We've just learned how to be sober from what we do. So it's not a professional organisation. It's just a fellowship. It's a society of friends. What a relief, because we take what works for us from those who are working it. It's all about sharing knowledge to get a common understanding of how to stay sober. So we just take what works for us, because of the many stories we will hear, some are not appropriate. They don't fit our outlook or our lifestyle, but there will be an element of sobriety that we can connect with. So it's good to know what other people are doing and how they're doing it. Anyway, what is AA? Let's get back on track. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So that's what it's all about, a desire to stop drinking, share the message, know where we stand for ourselves. You'll meet people with different affiliations, faiths, you name it, and to organisations too, politics, you name it, religion, you name it. But we don't actually try and impose our views on other people about what is part of our life. We know it's there, but AA is for not drinking. So in the context of that, people will describe their experience, strength and hope according to how it works for them. So we take what works. And I'm very lucky that I learned in the end. I mean, it's great last night. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I'll share from the starting point. August is about step 8, making a list of amends and being willing to make them. So it's the list and willingness, not the actual doing of it. So where am I? Yes, AA Daily Reflections for today, August 1st. Living it. The spiritual life is not a theory, we have to live it, and that comes from the AA Big Book. When new in the programme, I couldn't comprehend living the spiritual aspect of the programme, but now that I am sober, I can't comprehend living without it. Spirituality was what I had been seeking. God, as I understood him, has given me answers to the ways that kept me drinking for has given me answers to the whys, not the ways, the whys that kept me drinking for 20 years. By living a spiritual life, by asking God for help, I have learned to love, care for and feel compassion for all my fellow men, and to feel joy in a world where before I only felt fear. And the spiritual life is not a theory. Actually, the spiritual life is living reality without fixing our feelings to try and accommodate what we have to do. We do what we do because we need to. So our life circumstances often dictate our ability to do things, what we can and cannot do. But if we have a head which is sober, we can make choices to keep on doing what we're doing or to change what we're doing. Not in a day, Nothing is done in a day. Some changes are made which are dramatic in a day, but gently changing our attitude and behaviour, so we can feel right or wrong about what's going on today, but we feel it as it is. And the spiritual connection is living reality, coping with what's going on. So when it talks about God here, some people believe in God, and that's fine. Some people don't believe in God, and that's fine. And some people just simply don't know. But what I do know is that I get the truth and understanding and compassion to live on from listening to other people. So if God is working through other people, I'm in it. I'm living it. And I don't mind. Whatever version of God we all come to understand, it can be quite different and unique to each person. But there is a power greater than us, is simply what it's about. And the power greater than me is the many voices in recovery and outside recovery who have wisdom, who can help me. So rather than thinking I ought and should and could and can stand on my own 2 feet, I'm willing to stand on my own 2 feet and still ask for help. Help to be sober and help to see what direction I might take next based on reality. Spiritual life is living in the now. Good or bad, everything's spiritual if you can see the truth of it. But if I put a drink inside me, I'm beginning to filter it all out again. So the spiritual principles of the program, which come down to this: forgiveness of self and others, equality in that, acceptance of life as it is, surrender to the truth of now, let go the idea that we can control everything, faith in doing the next right thing, or maybe faith in a power greater than us, whatever you choose it to be. Open-mindedness, being open to what is. Honesty, not trying to run away from it or deny the truth. Willingness to change my attitude and behaviour. Doing an inventory, looking at what worked and what didn't, and where I made mistakes. Amends, being willing to make amends but not harming people in the process. Humility, keeping on learning. Persistence, not giving up, in the sense of not giving up on life, but certainly giving up the booze. Spiritual growth, the more I am able to see reality and cope with it, the more able I am. And service, which is in the fellowship, giving it away to keep it. So that's why I do these videos. So step 8, which is made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all, is making the list and being willing to make a list about restitution. And I got this from 12step.org, this particular part. Step 8 is the beginning of making amends, of healing the past with others. From the inventory of step 4, that's where we did what we did right and what we did wrong, and where we fell out with the world, and where we made our mistakes. And possibly reflect, yes, I have a good starting place for making a list of people that I have harmed over the years during my drinking. I'd look over my personal inventory and possibly reflect on my life again, and make a list of the people that I have harmed. I can write down thoughts beside each name about what the appropriate amends might be. I then go through the list and make sure I am willing in my heart to make the amends. And making the amends is not about the other person and them sharing back what a good fellow you are. Sometimes we're going to get a very harsh reaction if we've made a mistake in how we're doing the amends, which is owning up to our part in it, but without harming them. And yes, that is the most important part, making amends and restitution as we can, and it can come in the form of connection or disconnection, because there's no point in trying to do more harm than good. Yeah. And how easy is that? Well, it's not easy, because if we've been active in alcohol for a long time, there's probably a lot of things we've forgotten that we did, which will burn us when we go through our inventory. And the answer is, better to be burning about it and learning about it than shutting it off, because we shut off what is actually going to help us in the end to be a better human being, to live reality, which is spiritual, where our feelings fit what's happening, and we don't bring feelings in from our history the "oh no, here we go again" moments. So what was on my mind this morning? Well, a newcomer's chair always reminds me of how recovery started for me, and I had the privilege of listening to a person sharing their story and still being a newcomer, and being very, very astute in what they do and how they do it. So I was very pleased to be there, and it reminded me exactly of how I felt. The difference between the two of us, they've got it 25 years before I did. And I'm so pleased because, some of us get to the very lowest places where the darkness is complete and death is upon us. And still that happens at a younger age as well, but at least if it happens at a younger age, the recovery and bounce back time might be a little bit less. We can only know what that can be. We only get sobriety at the pace we can take it. And that's the great beauty of fellowship. Nobody's trying to say by the end of the day you ought to be like this. It's by the end of the day, have you had a drink or not? And if you haven't, it's a success. And then look at what happened, what disturbed us, and some gratitude maybe. So from despair to repair, one day at a time. That's what I was thinking last night. I could not wait to pass the milestones in recovery. This is me. I wanted the chips, 1 day chip, 30-day chip, 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, and on and on. But now I seem to think I might prefer they slow down. So much to do 1 day at a time. It's so true. Life doesn't get smaller, it gets bigger, not like before. Isolation and in the dark, into being in the world, and it's more light. There will still be darker moments, obviously, and some of us do have 1 or 2 other chronic conditions which won't go away. I do. From another year, living in the moment is the spiritual connection to truth. How we see our day with fewer filters determines our ability to make best choices and have freedom today. So how we see our day with fewer filters, that's fixing our filters with a drink or whatever it might be, determines our ability to make best choices and have freedom today. So freedom of choice is what I get. Freedom to choose based on life on life's terms. It doesn't mean I'm completely free to say I'm in charge and I want more money, or I want the perfect romance with a perfect girl. That's a bit late now in my lifetime. What it says to me is I can make the best choice with what is. It is what it is today. There will be doubt, sometimes fear, and we may hide and put on a brave face when we feel a bit hurt. But with the 12 steps, courage and faith will help our esteem facing our challenges today. So the whole program about building our faith, courage, esteem, contingent on the day we ask for help, I have to say. Always asking for help, because it's not all about me. It's about what's going on in the world and being included and useful. And another year, a better perspective. How am I feeling today? Knowing what it is like to be me, and not what I thought you wanted me to be. Today I feel good. The past is gone and has given me wisdom. So my history is actually my reference book as much as anything, from the inventory I did of my life story. I've shared plans and thoughts, accepted feedback, adapted, and in this one day I can be happy or sad as life is. So serenity today. That was a few years ago, actually. So it's interesting because over the years doing these videos, I had to come to terms with quite a lot of unsatisfactory news or unhelpful news about my health, which I can't do anything about. Chronic conditions don't go away, and they can't be cured with a mindset. Maybe the only mindset I can is to make the best of what is with what I have. So I've still got quite a lot going for me, and life is busy. I like it that way. And with the help of the fellowship, it's always the many voices in fellowship. It's attraction to the many voices sharing wisdom, and not one voice, and not putting people on pedestals. It's about being level-headed and level with our fellows, as that's what works in reality if we do it that way. Sometimes we work in organisations and places where there is hierarchy, and we accept it because those are the boundaries that we accept. But if we don't like the boundaries, and it's probably not for us to change them, we may have to do something and change our attitudes and behaviour, or move on somewhere else. So we can make a decision about moving and changing our attitudes and behaviour, but it doesn't happen in one day. The understanding is always there, and then we make plans accordingly. So it's not about making absolute 100% turnaround changes, or saying I'm leaving and going to start my life again somewhere else. It's about facing up to our responsibilities where we are, and making sure that we can make the changes which will work, not only for ourselves but those around us who love us. It's not a selfish program, it's about inclusion, love and usefulness. To be included in life, to be useful, and to be able to love people and be loved back. And running away is not the answer, but starting over may be the answer, in a new way of changing who we are, one day at a time. And it can only work today. So that's me for today. August 1st, start of a new month, start of a new step, all about amends, making a list and being willing, and not running off to make the amends until we've consulted maybe with somebody else. We want to get clean, we want to settle the past, but if we do it in an unhelpful way, we can be more destructive than constructive. So at the end, always the serenity prayer to God or good conscience, or just simply a meditation, asking for help on a daily basis about what we can do and can't do, learning the wisdom, phone a friend, go to a meeting, consult a professional, get outside help from whatever source. And most often I get really good wisdom when I'm standing in the street and somebody says good morning and we start a conversation, and I find there is wisdom in the words that come back to me. Simplicity in living. So, to God or in good conscience, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me is in the moment and just for today.